everyone, it's me, Gary, back with another Cuppa chat here on the Panto Archive, and I'm very, very, very excited for today's special guest. So, special guest, introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mama G, the storytelling pantomime dame. It's lovely to see you all. You all look gorgeous.
Oh, Mama G, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now, before we go any further, it would be very rude of me not to offer you a drink, as it is the Cuppa chat, and I've got one that I hope you will appreciate, a cup for you today. I've got my Mary Poppins, practically perfect in every way, Mama G, just for you.
Well, that is ideal because I am actually perfect in every way. So Mary Poppins and I almost have a lot in common, except she's not quite as perfect as I am.
Oh, well, there you are, you see. Now, everyone who watches the Cuppa chats will know that I always have blackcurrant in my drink. But if I was getting you a drink, Mama G, what would you have?
Oh, if you were getting me a drink, all I'd need was a little hot chocolate to keep me warm and cozy.
Oh, lovely. Oh, lovely. Well, thank you once again so much for coming and joining us today. Lots of us will know you from TikTok or being online for your story time. You're becoming very famous. I'm privileged to have you here
Becoming? Today. My goodness me, how rude.
You are
international icon and celebrity. Thank you very much.
How is the how did you get into the story times to start with? Because you know, we all see dames and people in pantomime, but how did you get into that story time side of it?
Well, I got into storytelling because I was trying to promote a pantomime. So we were doing Mother Goose down at the Brighton Fringe, which takes place in May. And I needed a way of standing out from the crowd. And one day I was offered a slot just on the streets in Brighton to perform an excerpt from the show, but I couldn't get any of the other cast members to join me. So I ended up doing it by myself. And I got this huge crowd around me, a lot of whom were kids. And I was thinking about this and I thought, well, traditionally, Mother Goose is actually a storyteller. That's what she was created to be by Charles Perrault. And I thought, well, what a better way to advertise the pantomime than to go around local venues giving a little snippet of it, but using stories. And so that's how I started storytelling. And it became a big thing very quickly. And I've loved doing it ever since.
Yeah, as I say, you know, it has become a big thing, and you've taken over Twitter for your stories and your songs that you sing with the children as well, and the grown-ups. Obviously, it's not just for children.
Absolutely.
Is it as fun as doing the pantomime show itself, the story time sessions, the storytelling sessions?
Well, it's a different experience because you do them in a different environment. So I might be in a library or in a school or sometimes a church, a ferry, who knows where I'll be, because I can take the storytelling anywhere. So you don't have the spectacle of a pantomime, but what you do still have at the heart of it is a good message, lots of fun, lots of jokes, lots of fabulous costumes, and most importantly, the kids and the families joining in and having a good time, because that's who you're doing it for, essentially. And I think you can do pantomime anywhere at any time if you've got the right heart and you've got the right purpose. You don't need a big theatre behind you to put on a good panto experience.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. I totally agree with you. You don't need the big 500-seater, or you know, you don't need the big sets behind you. I've watched a couple of your videos, and as I say, just seeing the children just excited and joining in is just wonderful. Is that part of the story telling sort of experience, having that interaction still like it is in a normal pantomime?
Well, it's very important to have the interaction, because that's what makes pantomime so special, is that the children feel like it's a genre of theatre that they can actually actively engage in and is being created for them. So that's what I try and achieve with the storytelling. And I tell stories about being who you want and loving who you are. And it's really important that children have that message. So I try and give them that message in a positive, fun and uplifting way, and in a way they would expect to experience at a theatre at Christmas.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, keep up that side of it, because it's absolutely fantastic to see. You are brilliant, and I love doing story times, but you know, you're taking it to that next another level, which is absolutely wonderful. So keep it up, Mama G. Let's get back to the main sort of panto season. What sort of shows have you done before? For anyone who's maybe watching it from a point of view who doesn't know you are, where have you been to start with? But what sort of places have you worked before and done, and shows you've done?
Well, my first pantomime was at the Middlesbrough Theatre up in the Never Eat Northeast. And I've done Stockport, Newark. I spent 5 years in Sevenoaks, 7 years in Gravesend. I've done Camberley. I produced the pantomime at the Stanley Arts in South Norwood, in South London. I've done Liverpool. I've been everywhere. I've done Easter pantomimes. I've done summer pantomimes on ferries. I've done summer pantomimes that I've written and directed and appeared in for Haven Holidays.
Oh my
I'll do
goodness.
pantomime wherever you want, darling. So long as someone's paying, I'll turn up and do it.
I mean, that is a good compromise. I think that as long as you're getting paid, you'll do them anyway.
It's not even a compromise, darling. It's a necessity.
There you go. You heard it.
I adore amateur pantomime. I think it's wonderful. But if I'm going to do it, I need to be paid as my livelihood, sweetheart.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. I totally understand that. You said that you do summer pantos, Christmas panto, Easter pantos. For anyone who is like, oh, panto is just for Christmas. What is the difference with Easter and summer pantos? Is it the same format, or is it?
Well, there is no difference. The only thing you need to change with an Easter or summer panto is your mindset. I don't truly understand, apart from the historical reasons, why panto just exists at Christmas, because unless you put snow in the show, there's nothing particularly Christmassy about it. And I think it's really helpful and important that we all get ourselves out of this mindset that pantomime exists just for Christmas, because pantomime is just a form of theatre, like a musical or a play, and it can happen at any point in the year. And as a British person, we all know the rules, we all know what we're getting, so it's something we can all enjoy. And whilst I'm on that point, pantomime is, of course, one of the only unique forms of British theatre that exists. So I think we're really limiting its capabilities by just presenting it at Christmas. I think if we present it throughout the year, we can actually start to use it to discuss Brexit, or be used to discuss refugees, or used to discuss LGBTQIA plus issues. If we stop thinking about it as a commercial Christmas entertainment, we can actually broaden our own minds and broaden the horizons of what pantomime is capable of.
Yeah, I totally agree. Panto can bring so many different people into a joyful time, but also can bring some really important messages as well within it. Mama G, if you could bring any one message then into the panto world, and you might have already done it, obviously, but if you could push it even further, what would that message be to your audiences, to the UK?
Well, my mantra is be who you want and love who you are. And I think that is the message that I always try and get across in all of my pantomimes and all of my storytelling, because being confident about who you are means you can understand that other people are allowed to live their lives the way that they choose. And eventually, if we all understand that everybody's able to be who they are, then I guess we just won't have war. I think it's that simple.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I love the pantomime of Mother Goose so much, because it has a really moral story, the heart of which is be true to yourself. And so many people get told not to be true to themselves. And that I want to make sure that everyone understands that's something they have a right to do, and something they can grow once they've experienced it.
Yeah, 100% agree. You said about Mother Goose is one of your favourites. Is it your favourite? And if so, why? Why, from a production point of view and a storytelling point of view? You kind of alluded to it, but what does it bring to the audience? Because it's one that doesn't get done so much now at Christmas, is it?
It doesn't get done very often these days, because you have to have a very good dame at the helm, because the dame is the star, which is one of the reasons why it is my favourite pantomime. And of course, it has a very strong story. It's got a very, very clear moral narrative, which I think is really important. The emotional drive of the characters is true and very real. It's not a made up idea. It's the battle of good and evil in Mother Goose is actually something that we all personally experience in ourselves. But fundamentally, Mother Goose is the pantomime I saw when I was 13 with Roy Hudd and Jack Tripp at the Theatre Royal in Plymouth that made me want to do pantomime. So I think that's one of the reasons it always has a very special place in my heart.
Oh, isn't that fantastic that even at such a young age you were inspired at that point to do it? And do you feel that sort of not sort of worry, I suppose, but sort of pressure that maybe there's little boys, little girls, anyone who wants to who's watching the pantomime, maybe watching you, and they want to be like you when they grow up? Does it ever feel like a pressure to perform to them, to give them, to say, you can do it as well?
Well, I'm very lucky because of my social media presence, I get contacted very often by people who tell me that I'm an inspiration and they want to be like me, and which is exactly what I did when I was little. I used to write to Jack Tripp and Danny LaRue and Hinge and Brackett and Roy Hudd and people like that. So I'm very flattered that some people will put me in that bracket.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, when you're performing in a pantomime, the key thing is that you're performing for everyone. That's one of the joys of pantomime, is it doesn't matter how old people are. It doesn't matter what background they come from. It doesn't matter where they live in the country. Everybody can enjoy a pantomime. So when I'm on a stage, I'm not worrying about whether one person in the pantomime is going to want to become like me. I'm worrying about whether every single person in the room is having a good time, because that's one of the main reasons I do panto, is because I want people to take 2 hours away from their lives and forget any troubles, forget any worries, and just have a good time. And being able to provide that for people is one of the biggest gifts I've ever experienced.
Oh, you are such a positive person. I love it. I love this conversation. It's brilliant.
Good.
I must talk to you about your fabulous outfits. You've got one on now. Talk to us a little bit. Do you help design the outfits? Does someone do it for you? How does it go now? Because as you say, you've got some wonderful things.
Well, I've got lots and lots of outfits. I do get involved in them ever so slightly, in that the idea for them is usually mine, but then I palm it off to other people to make the costumes for me. This one and a lot of my others, my book dress, which is quite popular, and the one that I wore on the first audition for Britain's Got Talent, they're made by my friend called Lorna Jean, who runs Lorna Jean Costumes down in Margate. And she's got an amazing eye because she understands the panto dame look. But dare I say it, she always makes me feel a little bit fashionable.
Oh, I mean,
Which
I understand that.
Appreciate.
Yeah.
This particular dress is one of my simpler designs, but this was created when I read a book called Julian at the Wedding at the Hay Festival. I helped with the book launch, and this is based on one of the illustrations in the book. And sometimes I go to Lorna and say, I want fairy tale, but I want book. And I also want it to look like a box of Skittles. And she'll come back and she'll say, how about this? And I go, that's perfect. Thank you for doing that. I've also got a Hungarian lady who lives down the road, who made my Drag Has Always Had a Place in Children's Entertainment dress, which was inspired by a cartoon by an artist called Lindsay Thomason. She brought it to life. And I've currently, one of my colleagues from 10 years ago when I used to work at Drury Lane, she is busy making a dress based on an American character called Miss Frizzle from a show called The Magic School Bus, which I'm going to wear in my own show, The Magic Bookmark, in a few weeks. I just had the costume fitting for that today. And sometimes, dare I say it, I just buy them on eBay.
Well, you know what? You can get a good bargain, can't you, sometimes?
Absolutely. And it doesn't matter how cheap or how expensive something is. It's all about how you wear it.
I totally agree. Totally agree with that one. Well, I tell you what, I can't believe it. We've nearly already come to the end of our cuppa chat. It's flown by. I've absolutely loved it. Will you come back and speak to us again sometime?
I would be happy to, if that's what the public desire.
Well, there you go. If you want it, like the video now, because I've got a feeling that it's going to go down quite well. I'm asking this to everyone, though, a final question on the Cuppa Chat series, and I'd love to know your answer to this.
Yes, we can, but if you pay, darling, is that all right?
Oh, well, speak to the sponsors. Speak to Crossroads.
Perfect. All right.
I must ask you, because you've done so many of them, and I think I know the first answer part to the answer. If you could be in any one pantomime once again, which one would it be? You've said how much you love Mother Goose, so it might be that.
Yeah.
But if you could have a co-star with you, it could be someone who's still with us now or someone who's passed away. Who would it be and why?
Well, gosh, there are a lot of people I would like to share a stage with. I'm going to give this to you in two parts, I think.
Yep.
Let's assume it's Mother Goose because that's a given.
Yeah.
I would do anything to be able to play Mother Goose opposite Roy Hudd. Roy Hudd, to my mind, is one of the greatest pantomime comics. I was lucky enough to see him 3 times in pantomime, and I've seen him in plays and music hall as well. And the way he handles an audience, I would like to share a stage with him. Not that I can anymore, but if I could, I'd share a stage with him and I'd learn from watching him every single performance. I think that would be a masterclass. And I have answered this on one of my TikToks already, but a person living who I would dearly like to do pantomime with, and in fact did suggest to some producers 10 years ago before she was the megastar that she is now, is I would like to play Mother Goose opposite the evil enchantress, Michelle Visage.
Oh, that's a good one, that is.
Made for pantomime, although I do believe, as there is a difference between pantomime dame and drag queens, I think any pantomime dame that took to the panto stage with Michelle Visage would have to give her a good education in what a pantomime dame was before she gave us any of that judgmental looks.
Oh, you know what? That is one of my favourite answers I've had on this series so far. It's very good. Well, Mama G, I can't thank you so much to being with. I'm even lost for words. You've taken me back completely. You have that effect on people often.
It does happen, unfortunately. Yes. Well, I say unfortunately, it gives me more time to talk, so it's always a positive.
There you are, you see. Well, thank you so much for joining us here at Panto Archive. We would love to have you back again another time. And I'm going to ask you on camera because hopefully you're going to say yes. And
right.
And then you can have a look at it yourself. Will you give us all the details that you've ever done with Panto so we can make you a special pantomime archive page on our website for you?
You just need to send me your email and I will send you every minute detail about my pantomime career.
Perfect. Well, there you go then. So the time that this video comes out, go onto the Panto Archive website and it's on there. You heard it live. We're having this conversation now live.
I've got to do it now. I've got no choice.
Oh, Mama G, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been wonderful.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And you can have a look on the Panto Archive website for that brand new page that we've just created here and now.
Magic.
Magic, you see. Thank you all so much for watching Cuppa Chat. Thank you, Mama G.
Bye.
See you all soon.